All right, Shalawam, Israel. I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to YAHAWAH, YAHAWASHI, double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalawam to let men out there doing this work of faith and labor of love and true sincerity. And this is a quick response, to Apostle Tahar's video, and women rule over them, and the video pretty much in the article in which the apostles brought out. It pretty much does surprise me, knowing, the ways of the so-called black woman today, and we see the various examples of how, the so-called black woman, chooses, the so-called white man, over Jake in general, and I'm sure many brothers out there, whether we witness this, in our everyday life through our personal experience, witnessing it, through other experiences or different situations with your job, whatever the case may be, we see that this so-called black woman, she is trained within her spirit to love the so-called white man and to belittle, Jake, first and foremost, primarily through the curses. Okay, so just seeing them as those slave owners, it doesn't surprise me one bit. Okay, because you could have had some women out there that were out in the field and slaving with other Jake, but all of a sudden the master chose her, as a bed wench, and the master could have caught feelings for, had a few kids by, or whatever the case may be, and all of a sudden started to really favor her and put her up on this pedestal, and now she's starting to think that she's something, All right, real quick, a quick example, to prove the back up the point in which I was just saying, is Sirach 25 and 17. The wickedness of a woman changeth her face, and darkeneth her countenance like sackcloth. So as I said, you could have had a woman that was in the field. You could have been thinking that she was alright. She could have been in the field with you many a years, But then all of a sudden, the master got to her, Now she wearing all the fancy dresses and the master, giving her jewelry and stuff like that. Now you see how her countenance changed. You see her true self, so to speak. You see her for who she truly is. And like Apostle Gabar get into, that women, they're fickle creatures. They change like the wind. So as the master going, to pop her all the time, now she started to get with these bright ideas in her head, and it starts to see a bigger picture, so to speak. And the picture which she has envisioned in her mind is all about herself. It doesn't have anything to do with getting her people free, or getting in a good position to rise up against the master or anything of that nature. It's all out for her own game, man. Like you have different guys out there like Tommy Sotomayor, different guys on YouTube, Sandman, Migto, Black Ram, that speak on various and numerous topics, concerning women, and they be on point. And the one thing that, Black Ram said that, women aren't capable of loving anyone but themselves, man, And in these cases of, so-called black women being slave owners, hey, that shows you the prime example right there, man. And having slaves themselves, that's their desire to rule, man. That's why when you go to real quick, this is the book of Genesis, chapter 3, verse 16, and it says, unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception, and sorrow shalt thou bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. Right, man, So the Most High made it for them to be subject unto us. But
truly within their spirit, and you know, because of the curses, they have a desire to rule over their husbands, man. Okay, to rule over men in general, all for their own gain, because they do nothing but love themselves, and they're all about the flesh, man. The things of the eyes, man. You know. So this is Genesis chapter 3, verse 6. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. Right? So she saw that the tree was good for food and pleasant to the eyes, man. You know, so as I said, what she envisioned, you know, of the pleasures and the joys that she can have, you know, down the line, you know, from doing what she did, you know, with the master of the house, you know, with the slave owner, you know. And that's what they all do when you think of it in this time, man. That's why they you know, Solomon said, you know, that hands as bands and as snares and nets, man. You know? And you know, I want to get into this word, manumission, all right? And it says, manumission is the act of a slave owner freeing his or her slaves. Different approaches developed each specific to the time and place of a society's slave system. So, you know, Apostle Tahar had mentioned the different reasons, you know, in which, you know, that slaves might be freed and different things of that nature, you know. And one prime example, you know, I want to show is in the movie Goodbye Uncle Tom, all right? But before that, you know, when you look underneath, you know, the definition of manumission, you see what? Ancient Greece and ancient Rome, you know, what all Edomite kingdoms, you know. So when you check out when it says, yeah, here on ancient Greece, I'm just read a little part of it. It says, even in freedom, the ex-slave could be bound to some continuing duty to the master, and were commonly required to live nearby the former master. Okay, so what is that? That's still slavery, man. When you look at it on a scale today, the so-called white man took the physical chains on us and put and try to put mental chains on us, man. You know, they still have us on a leash with the social security number. Okay, us living in the ghettos, the hoods, the projects, so on and so forth, man. Everything that they pumping into our communities. That's why the scriptures say, the wicked have waited for me to destroy me, because they put these things upon us, you know, and just knowing the nature of Jake, because they studied us, expect us to destroy ourselves, man, you know. And when you look at this on another scale too, you know, once again on the slavery tip, now in today's time, you know, the so-called white man, he's the head of everything. So who did he set over us as the taskmaster now? Our own women, man. The so-called black women. He set them over us as so-called taskmasters. You know, how it says right here, what the ex-slave could be bound to some continuing duty to the master and were commonly required to live nearby the former master. So Esau keeps tabs on us by what? Putting these women over above us, giving them these high positions within today's society, okay, giving them the right over us within courts, so on and so forth, to keep us in line, to keep us in pocket, to keep us from rising up, man. And the women love to have it so, you know. Why? Because they're all about their self, all about their own gain, man, you know. So with that, you know, I'm gonna just play this quick clip from Goodbye Uncle Tom, you know, and speak on it real quick before I end this.
Regarding the ladies of the South, it should be clearly understood that their much vaunted virtue is decidedly undervalued from a moral viewpoint, because it is a virtue without alternatives.
My word.
Indeed, they cannot be less than virtuous, since it is a fact that their men are noted for their preference for colored girls. They are virtuous, to be sure. They have no other choice. They are women unfulfilled, since their husbands and possible lovers prefer the dusky charms of the plantation wenches, the fillies, the shoats, as they call them. These young colored girls, bursting with lusty youth, whom they enjoy so lecherously.
Oh, heavens! How's it possible to write such filth?
Propaganda. Political propaganda. What can they know about Negroes and Negresses, these landless louts in Boston and Philadelphia?
Nothing but their envy and prejudice. Their malice causes them to try and offend us, to debase and humiliate us. God in heaven, that they should insult our men, our husbands, in this way.
Shame.
To suggest that our men would have intercourse with our slaves, who are little better than animals.
Exactly.
Dear God, it is an accusation of sexual aberration.
Oh, this abnormal mating between black and white. There's a scientific word for it. It's called bestiality.
Such disgusting lies. Do we not all know who are the objects of our husbands' incontinence? We, who every Friday night must undergo... Oh, what am I saying?
Don't you all think it might be wiser not to speak too frankly in front of them?
Don't worry, they understand about as much of white folks' talk as the furniture does. But isn't it remarkable, the longer they stay among us, the lighter they get? Yet their mentality, sensitivity, and intelligence remain that of the brute animal.
It's really true.
Yes, it seems to me that each generation gets lighter. I know in our place, we keep having cubs with rosy skins. My husband says it's because of,
Symbiosis. That's the scientific term, symbiosis. Like those animals who take on the color of the background in which they live. Your husband's absolutely right.
It's true.
Quite correct, my dear. Look at Scipio. He's left-handed like my brother. And see Jason? My husband brought him up from childhood, and now, isn't it remarkable? He shows some of my husband's blondness.
Extraordinary.
Truly, nature is bizarre.
Now, as you can see from that clip, you know, which I just showed, you know, you had that Edomite woman reading to the other woman a letter that was sent to her, that their husbands were sleeping, you know, with the Negro woman, you know, with the so-called black woman, and you know they didn't believe it, and but you can clearly see that they were from the example of those mulatto kids, okay, and they were, and these dumbass Edomite women, they were thinking this because their husband told them it was symbiosis, and they actually believe in that shit, you know. And this one that you see right here on the screen, she was saying, you know, look, this one even has the same, use the left hand as my brother John does, and this one back here shows trace of blondness, just how my husband does, because those are his kids, you damn dumbass Edomite bitch, okay? So you had slave owners that was actually pocketing, okay, Jake women, man. They were becoming more than bed wenches unto them, man. Like if you brothers watch the show Underground, okay, the head woman, the cook, she's the mistress to the owner of the house, to the owner of the plantation, and she has altogether 3 kids, but 2 are by the master, okay. And you could tell that he truly values her opinion, what she says, and he favors her more, even his own wife, but he still has to keep it on tuck though, okay. So you had these slave owners that was getting real fond of Jake woman, okay, because these Jake woman and nigga woman, she got a real good game with her, you know. They pillow talking and all this different stuff, you know what I'm saying, getting all in their ear and in their head, okay, and they actually wound up having deep feelings for him, man, you know, and thus leaving, you know, after their wives might have died, and they have nobody else to leave it to. So who better to leave it to than my mistress, and whom I got plenty of kids by, man. So that's just one clear example of how these women, you know, these Jake women could have became slave owners within these times, man, you know. So you know, with that, you know, I just hope this lesson was edifying, you know. Hope I hit the point correctly, and everything of that nature, you know. So with that, you know, I just like to give all praise, honor, and glory to YAHAWASHI, YAHAWASHI, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalawam to let men out there doing this work of faith and labor of love and truth, sincerity. Shalawam, and death to America.